Howdy y'all. Alright, if you hear noise during this video, it's these two freaking meatheads. Alright, well, you see my 3rd gen 4Runner, you see my 2nd gen 4Runner. We've yet to talk about my 1st gen 4Runner. Alright, these 1st gen 4Runners, 1st generation of the Toyota 4Runner, was produced in 1984. It came with a 22R motor, putting out 100 freaking horsepower, just screamers. Not really, I mean, they're pretty gutless, really. Okay, an 84 22R removable hardtop. It's a fiberglass top, comes off in the summertime. Pretty sweet feature. All right, as you can tell, just like the other 4Runners, you can throw your buddies, your dogs, keep your gear dry, all that stuff. But this one, the old 1st gen, the Legend, has a solid front axle. And in 1985, they actually had a fuel-injected 22RE motor. So that is a hell of a combination, a 22RE and a solid front axle. Freaking tough stuff. All right, dogs like to be in videos, and she likes to lay in puddles. She's my little land hippo. I just gave you a bath yesterday, you muddy little turd. All right, just like the 2nd gen 4Runner, the tailgate is the same. You put the key in, roll the window down, and it opens up like a tailgate, so you got somewhere to sit and hang out. Unlike the 3rd gen, which comes up, so that's pretty cool. All right, this one here is some kind of special edition model or something like that. Chrome freaking handles and a chrome grill and an altimeter. Pretty neat. It's kind of a basket case. I wish I had a better example for you guys, but this is what I got, so doing a video on it. All right, they ran this body style up until 1989. In 1986, they decided to throw a freaking turbo in them, so it's called a 22RET. And I think all the RETs were automatics. I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe so. Not 100% sure on horsepower either. I imagine around 140, 130 something horsepower, which is quite a bit for a low compression motor like a 22RE. What's cool about the low compression 22REs, you got more bottom end to play with, unlike the Z motors, the 3RZ, 2RZ motor. Those are more of a top end wrappers, which I mean, they're freaking sweet motors. But the 22RE seems to be a more favorite for crawling around. I mean, you throw dual cases behind a 22RE and it's just a freaking tractor. Either that or even just a 4.7 case, which I've had in an 85 4Runner. All right, like I said, this thing's a basket case, no motor or tranny. Interior's pretty roached out. I mean, it's got the stuff to throw the interior kind of back together besides seats. And it's got a bunch of wiring harnesses and just random miscellaneous stuff. But this is the first Toyota I've ever had with I think it's an altimeter. Yeah, which I don't know what I'm doing with this thing. It'd be pretty cool to throw a 3.4 in it. Be pretty freaking awesome. It's got a 3-inch lift, so I could probably throw some 36s under there, even though I'm more partial to the Toyota on 33s. I mean, you can get around pretty dang good on a 33-inch tire and keep a little bit of horsepower. Neighbor kids are setting the dogs off. All right, in 1986 and 87, the 22 RTE motor, of course you could still get it with the 22 RE, and I don't know if you can get a 22R in 86. I think in 85 you could still get the 22R or the RE, but in 86 I think it was the RE or the RET. In 1987 they actually went to the 3-liter. 87 was the first year of the 3-liter V6. And from what I've heard, when I bought an 87 Toyota pickup with a 3-liter, I heard they are the most powerful 3-liter motors you can get. I'm not 100% sure on that. Would have to do a little bit more research. But so 87 through 89, you can get them with a 3-liter or a 22RE. And in 86, they went to independent front suspension, which is the same suspension as the 2nd gen 4Runner and 3rd gen pickup, or a 2nd gen pickup from 86 to 88, because in 89 you can get the 3rd gen pickup, but in 89 you could still, it was still the square body 4Runner until 1990. Then they went to the second gen 4Runner, which then is the 22R. All right, we've talked about the second gen 4Runner. Back to this one at hand. And then when they went to the second gen, you could no longer pop the top off, which that's a huge feature in my book. And not only that, but these bodies, it's actually a little bit smaller of a body. And I don't know, these are my favorite generation of 4Runners, just because they come with a solid axle. Sure, they might ride a little bit rougher, but they're just tougher than heck. And if you stick to a 33-inch tire, which I'm pretty partial to, you don't seem to have many problems with a Toyota axle. It's once you get up in the 36s and such, which you could run a 35 fair, you know, without having too many problems. You start gambling a little bit more on a 35 than a 33, but it's all fun and games, and the bigger tire, the more place you can go. Me, I took 33s off my last one and went to 35s, and I kind of was, I wasn't a big fan. I kind of wish I would have stuck to 33-inch tires. Just a little more horsepower, and it just seemed like less stress going on beneath me. All right, I've had two other 85 4Runners. My actual first Toyota that I owned personally was an 85 4Runner, and I freaking love that thing. Me and that thing went freaking everywhere. I moved back here in 2008 from San Diego. In San Diego, I bought a 96 Cadillac in Andeville, you know, down the city, just all plush. It was a sweet car, 20-inch wheels on it and stuff. It was a freaking awesome car. But came back to Oregon, I gave my sister the Cadillac, and I bought a 4Runner. And me and that old girl, we went freaking everywhere. I stuffed 215s in the back of her and throw on some Metallica and just hit the hills, grab a case of Good Times, and yeah, it was fun. Me and her, we got in trouble a couple times, but it was all fun and games. I actually lost that rig for a week, ended up finding it. Yeah, that's not a story for YouTube though, but yeah, it was a great rig. So anytime I get a chance to get my hands on one of these first gen 4Runners, I usually jump on it. This one here, the motor blew in it. Well, more than likely probably blew a head gasket or threw a timing chain, because 22 REs are fairly notorious for one of those two things. And he decided to throw a small block Chevy in it, and really his motor mounts are pretty janky, and I would have had to go through and redo all his work and stuff like that. So I pulled the 350 out of it, ended up getting rid of it, and my cousin needed tires, so I gave him the tires off it, and I've just been stuck with the shell ever since. I've had it about 4 years now. Still kind of deciding what to do with it. I mean, the body's not in great shape. It's still it's fairly straight, you know, not too many dents, but there's little cancer spots here and there, so I'm not 100% set on throwing a 3.4 in it, even though that is kind of my idea. But we'll see where it goes. I mean, I work so freaking much, it's kind of hard to take on projects. But if I was going to take on a project, this is ideally the exact project I'd want, just because so much memories in an 85 4Runner. I mean, they are freaking awesome. And plus, like I said, this one must be some kind of special edition with the chrome grille, chrome handles, and the altimeter, whatever the heck it's called. Comment whatever if I'm calling that the right thing. You see, it's got a little bit of a wahoo on the back. I backed into it. There's a little cancer on the bottom there, and pretty neat. He molded in these lights and put them in the Chevy tail, you know, with mud flaps, because he had dreams of stuffing that 350 in it. The front fender's a little jacked up, and it's just on rollers right now. A little bit of rust on the frame, but not bad. Could actually clean that up with a little sandblasting and throw some paint on it. But like I said, I'm not exactly sure where I'm going with this. I mean, I could end up just getting rid of it, or I could peel the axles from underneath it and buy a little Tacoma 2-wheel drive and throw in my W56 top shift with a 4.7. That actually sounds really freaking cool. But once again, that's another project. I don't really have much time for projects, but a guy can dream. And not only that, it's good to have the resources if, you know, time presents itself, whatever. And it really wouldn't be too hard to actually stuff those axles underneath a 2-wheel drive. not be that hard at all. So as you can see, my wheels are turning. But yeah, it's nice sunny. It was crappy this morning, rain like heck, but sun came out. So as you can see, the dogs are out gallivanting. So figured I'd snap out a video for you guys, show you the first gen. Seeing we've talked about the second and third gen. One of these days I'll get my hands on the fourth gen. The fourth gen, pretty neat because they actually introduced the 4.7 liter V8 into the fourth gen, which is a freaking awesome motor. The 1UZ, freaking solid, and a V8 and a 4Runner. That would be pretty cool. But what's crazy is even like the Tacomas, the second gen Tacomas. I've had a 2005 with a 6-speed and didn't really feel like a Toyota. Something about the old, you know, even like the Tacoma, the 3, 4, and a 5-speed, it still feels like you're in a Toyota. But once you go to those 4 liters and the bigger mid-size body, whatever, you feel like you're kind of more a highway truck. And that 6-speed, wasn't really a huge fan of it, just too high geared. I mean, I could have changed the gears in it and stuff. It was a really nice truck, but ended up getting rid of it and going to the 3-4 swap third gens. And I mean, I go through rigs a lot, as you guys can tell. Usually started bringing you guys along the way about a year and a half ago, some change. And thankful for it. I mean, I got 1,200 subscribers. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you for your support. And hopefully you enjoy these videos I'm doing. You know, go ahead and leave me a like, a comment, and if you aren't subscribed, maybe think about it. Just kind of stay up on my next, whatever the heck I get next. More likely it's probably going to be a Toyota. It's about time to start cleaning house though, just because I've got piles of them. I mean, they're freaking everywhere. I need to take this out to my property and stash it with the T100 and the Samurai and the old Chevy I got out there as well. But thank you for watching. Stay freaking awesome.